Do you want to get inside the mind of one of the hosts of Twist, the Weekend Sports Talk? Well, here's your chance on another episode of Mike on the Mic. Welcome in, everybody. Episode 9 of Mike on the Mic. I am your host, Mike Reeves. Thank you for tuning in live on Facebook, RTF Sports Network, Twist, the Weekend Sports Talk. You can find both of those at rtfsportsnetwork.com and twistsportstalk.com. Also find me on all the podcast platforms out there. Happy day to you. Got an exciting show. Episode 9, Mike on the Mic, ready for you. So let's kick it off, as always, with some sports stories showcase. Cam Newton will wear number 1 for the Patriots. Surprise, surprise, surprise. But the real surprise is the fact that he'll be wearing number 1 because no Patriots player has ever worn that number under Bill Belichick. Good old Belly's been the Patriots head coach since the year 2000. I was a sophomore in high school. So in 20 seasons that he's been in charge, no player has worn number 1. Prior to him, I believe it was just kickers. So good for you, Cam. Welcome aboard the Belichick number 1 jersey wearing guy. Belichick's the only number 1 on that team. So his head's so big, he's like, nobody else is wearing that damn number. I believe the mascot had it at one point as well. Eagles penalized Deshaun Jackson. They say the receiver must take action in order to remain on the team. Here's a quote from the Philadelphia Eagles. Today, we have penalized Deshaun for conduct detrimental to the team. He accepted these consequences and apologized. In our many conversations with him, it has also been made clear that this is only the beginning. We've discussed a concrete plan for how he and we can heal moving forward. Now, this came after some anti-Semitic, racist tweet that Deshaun did. We talked about that last week on episode 8. Basically, Deshaun Jackson is a moron and needs to just shut his damn mouth. We're going to stick in the NFL. The NFL bans jersey exchanges due to coronavirus. This is ridiculous. The NFL has banned jersey exchanges in 2020 as the league attempts to play through the coronavirus pandemic. Jersey exchanges really have gained popularity over the past few years. Players get done with the game. Hey, bro, let me get your jersey. All right, man, let me get your jersey. The funny thing is this isn't new. Players were being fined last year, the year before, for doing this damn thing. So, now it's because of coronavirus. It's like people dying of cancer died of coronavirus. Anything attached to anything has to have the COVID-19 stamp of approval on it. Deshaun Watson tweeted, "This is damn silly." J.J. Watt is in the news. He has no interest in playing football while wearing a face shield. He determined long ago that he doesn't like that stuff. He said, "My second year in the league, I thought it'd be cool. I'd put a visor on my helmet. It was like, looks so cool. I want to put a visor on." He had it on for 3 periods, and he had to take it off because he thought he was going to die out there. So J.J. Watt says he's not going to play if he has to wear a coronavirus shield. Greg and I were talking about this yesterday. Green Bay Greg, you can check his show out on the RTF Sports Network as well as Twist Sports Talk. But we were talking about this yesterday. He's going to play. This is basically just him saying, don't do this. NFL, don't make us wear face shields, okay? I don't want to do it. Please don't make me do it. Got some comments going here. We are a live interactive show, and you are welcome that it is on your timeline. Roderick, you must have liked the page. So, stick it in the NFL. The Patriots settled compensation grievances with Antonio Brown and the deceased Aaron Hernandez. Now, this is notable. Experts came out and said the Patriots' chances of recouping any money was very low. The Patriots gave Antonio Brown a $9 million signing bonus on September 7th of last year. 3 days after they cut him. So in addition to that $4 million credit that the Patriots recouped, they also got another $2.55 million for the grievance with the late Hernandez. Now, like I said before, this is significant because the Patriots were down to less than $500,000 in cap space. Now they have $7.79 million. So they can go get a friend for Cam Newton. They have nobody at receiver. Julian Edelman, N'Keal Harry, they drafted last year. But they should spend some money and get him some more weapons. Let's get to college football. Stanford to cut 11 varsity sports, cites pandemic as the breaking point. Here's the sports that they're going to cut. Men's and women's fencing, field hockey, lightweight rowing. Did they not cut heavyweight rowing? Don't know. Men's rowing, co-ed and women's sailing, squash, synchronized swimming, men's volleyball, and wrestling. So they cut 11 of them due to the money. So these 11 programs consist of more than 240 student athletes and 22 dedicated coaches. Wow, that's a lot of people out. Those are some squash. I was a squash champ back in high school. I used to slam a Mountain Dew before every match, break it, throw it on the ground, and say, squash. And that used to motivate me to go out and get it done. We ended up winning the title. Now, I wasn't on the squash team. I doubt Burnsville High School here in good old Minnesota could afford just a squash team, but I was in racket sports. So I held the title in squash, as well as tennis doubles, as well as double badminton. Now, we had to perform to be able to get a good grade on that show. And I performed, like I just said. I was out there slaying the squash ball. Now let's go over to some basketball. Tom Thibodeau has his second interview with the Knicks. Now, Tibbs, lead candidate to coach the Knicks. It was an interview via Zoom. Of course it was. So he was former Knicks assistant and head coach of the Bulls and my Minnesota Timberwolves. What is James Dolan doing? Could he make this team and continue to make this team any worse? Thibodeau's trash. I mean, he just works his players into the ground. His track record has only shown that. We got one victory in the playoffs with Thibodeau here, and that was basically because we had Jimmy Butler, and he traded away all of our young talent to be able to acquire him for a very short amount of time. So, Tom Thibodeau, fuck you. Speaking of fuck you, Adrian Wojnarowski has been suspended by ESPN for sending fuck you in response to an email from Missouri Senator Josh Hawley about the NBA in China. Woj came out and said I was disrespectful and I made a regrettable mistake. I'm sorry for the way I handle myself, and I'm reaching out immediately to Senator Hawley to apologize directly. I also need to apologize to my ESPN colleagues because I know my actions were unacceptable and should not reflect on any of them. So no timeline has been released on how long the Woj bomb is going to be suspended. It was great to just do it now since the NBA hasn't started. I'm guessing he'll be back for the beginning. He is the Adam Schefter of the NBA. Any news that breaks that has to do with the NBA is from Woj. And he just said, fuck you. I mean, it's not really the end of the world. And personally, I think it's absolutely hilarious. Speaking of my Minnesota Timberwolves, we just talked about them here a couple notes ago when we were talking Tibbs. Recent bubble dropouts could help my Wolves. So Bradley Beal of the Washington Wizards will not play in the restarted NBA season because of a shoulder injury, a.k.a. their team sucks and he doesn't want to play. So now in order for there to even be a chance of the Brooklyn pick not conveying, not only do the Nets have to finish 2 games worse than Washington in the 8 seeding games, they need to drop 2 games in a row to Washington after that. It's really hard to imagine Washington does much better than probably 2-6. They are down to basically nobody, and with their top player out. Come on, Nets. For the Wolves, you still want the chance to get another difference maker, especially for a team that's already likely operating over the cap for the foreseeable future, given the money tied up to Cat and D'Lo. So an extra pick, I think we're looking at 14, 15, 16. So basically the lottery, and then we'd be picking shortly after. So we really have to hit on both of those. We got to get that young talent to keep everything flowing nicely for the Wolves. Now we're going to slide on over to a fantasy breakdown edition. We're going to move pretty quick through it. I'm just going to name you my top 10 fantasy quarterbacks going into this season. Number 10, I had to give it to my guy, Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has been basically a part of every team over the last 4 years of mine, whether he was starter or a backup. A couple years ago, had both Matt Ryan and Tom Brady. Ended up swinging Tom Brady for a tight end after mine got hurt. He's just consistent, a lot of offensive weapons. He did lose Austin Hooper this year. So he is going to round in at number 10. Number 9, Allen out of Buffalo. You hear that, Dylan? Your boy made my number 9. So he's a dual threat quarterback. You know, big white guy who can run, strong arm, not a lot of accuracy, but puts up decent fantasy numbers. So he falls in at number 9. Number 8, TB12. He's got a ton of weapons. His left tackle might sit out this season, which isn't very good for Tom. But he's been consistent throughout his years. He's got a lot more weapons this year on offense. I think he's probably going to do over 4,000 yards, over 30 touchdowns, probably under 10 picks. He's going to be a nice addition to any fantasy team, and he is my number 8 fantasy quarterback. Number 7, another long in the tooth QB1, Drew Brees. He's just, if he's healthy, which he usually is, he's putting up big numbers. New Orleans likes to score a lot of points, and he's obviously the quarterback of that squad, so he's going to get you a lot of fantasy points. So at 10, Matt Ryan, Allen at 9, Brady at 8, Breeze at 7. Deshaun Watson is my number 6. He did lose out on his biggest target, which is going to hurt him, but he's another dual threat quarterback, and he's just a beast. You know, he's going to get you not top 5 numbers according to Mike on the mic, but he is number 6. Kyler Murray in his second season. He's going to have a breakout sophomore year. He falls into my number 5. And he's the one that stole Deshaun Watson's target. You all know who he is. Number 4, Russell Wilson. Not much more you can say about Russell Wilson. He's never been hurt. He's consistent, and he's a beast. Dak Prescott is my number 3. My number 2. Don't hate me. Lamar Jackson. I'm going to need to see a little bit more, bud. You kind of make me nervous when it comes to injuries because you like to run around so damn much. Now, he's not a mobile, well, he's a mobile quarterback, but he's not just a running quarterback. They design plays for him to run. He doesn't just break out of the pocket and just decide to run. Baltimore is consistent in their game plan, wanting to get him loose. And they do, which is why he put up over 1,000 yards rushing last year. Patty Mahomes, the $500 million man, is my number 1 fantasy quarterback this year. You heard it here first on Mike on the Mic, RTF Sports Network, Twist Sports Talk. Pat Mahomes is going to get back to his rookie year. Well, kind of rookie year. First full year starting when he was just throwing touchdown after touchdown for long bombs. He's going in at number 1. Now let's get over to some over-under NFL this year. We're going to fly through it. Arizona Cardinals, Over under 6.5 wins. Over. Atlanta Falcons, 7.5 wins. Under. Baltimore Ravens, 11.5 wins. Over. Buffalo Bills, 9 wins. Over. Carolina Panthers, 5.5 wins. We'll give them the over here. Come on, Teddy. Chicago Bears, 8.5. Who put this shit together? 8.5 wins. Under. Cincinnati Bengals, 5.5. Under. The Browns, 8.5. Under. Cowboys at 9.5. Over. Got the Broncos at 7.5. Over. Detroit Lions, Michael Buckheister's favorite team in the NFL, at 6.5. Under. I'm going to keep my eyebrow. I'm not shaving it out. Or it wasn't even my eyebrow. It was my nipple. I'm going to have to cut my nipple off if the Detroit Lions win the division. I don't see that happening. The Green Bay Packers, GBG's favorite squad. He still has a poster of Brett Favre hanging up in his room. 9.5. We'll give that over. Houston Texans at 7.5. Going to give that an over. The Indianapolis Colts, they're my surprise team coming out here. They're at 8.5. We are going over. Jacksonville, 4.5. Under. Kansas City at 11.5. Over. The Las Vegas Raiders, 7.5. I'm going under there. The Chargers at 8. I'm going under there. The Rams at 8.5. We're going to go over. I think they're going to get back to a couple years ago here. The Dolphins at 6. I'm going over on 6, too. I think the Dolphins are going to be another quiet team that are going to make some noise. Minnesota Vikings at 9. Duh. Over. Cam's Patriots at 9. We'll give that an over, too. The Saints at 10.5. Over. Giants at 6.5. Over. The Jets at 6.5. Under. They have the Eagles listed here at 9.5. I'm going under for Philly this year. I just don't see it. Steelers at 9. I'm going to go over. You got Big Ben coming back. I think he'll have a productive, healthy season. We'll give the Pittsburgh Steelers over 9 wins on this season. Team that made it to the Super Bowl and lost, the San Francisco 49ers at 10.5. Mike on the mic has them over 10.5 wins. Seahawks at 9.5. Over. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by TB12, 9.5 wins, over. The last two, we got Tennessee Titans at 8.5. We're going to give them an over. Washington, TBD name, 5.5 wins. We're going to give that an under. So there's my over-under on the NFL season for wins and losses. Well, let's get away from sports here to kind of wrap up the show. Typically, I'll do a TV show review, but I wanted to do a movie review this time along. So my movie review is Capone. Yes, Al Capone. Capone is a 2020 American biographical drama film written, directed, and edited by Josh Trank, the trifecta of movies. With Tom Hardy starring as the eponymous, what the fuck? Gangster Al Capone. The film centers on Capone after his 11-year sentence in the pen, as he suffers syphilis and dementia while living in Florida, chronicling the final days of the notorious gangster Al Capone as he succumbs to dementia and relives his past through tormenting memories. IMDb gave it a 4.8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, 41%. And whatever Metacritic was at 46%. 64% like this movie on Google. So this is brand new. Tom Hardy's a beast. He basically kills it in everything he's in. The trouble this movie did was it was after all of his gangster stuff. I did say it has some flashbacks, but they're very minimal. Everybody wants to see Al Capone the gangster, especially when Tom Hardy is playing him. You know, they did some flashbacks when he was healthy, and it was like, damn, he really pulls off a good Al Capone. The trouble is, I don't care about Al Capone when he's shitting himself in bed and can't remember anything. I want to see him St. Valentine's Day massacring motherfuckers. So I give this a 4. 4 out of 10. If you like Tom Hardy, you know, it's worth $1.50 at the Red Box. You know, it's tough to play that type of role. But yeah, so I'm going to give that a solid 4 out of 10. So I do have a spotlight for you this week. Typically, I'll grab a new item on the shelves. I'll eat it. You're listening, so you'll just have to take my word for it. So this is fudge brownie M&Ms. Now, you should thank me for doing this because I don't eat this shit, okay? It's before noon. So we got a couple blue ones here. Let's get a brown and a blue. So this is fudge brownie M&Ms. You can go find this at any convenience store out there. Oh, that's literally like, it's a brownie. It's a fudge brownie. I don't understand how they can continue to. We'll have one more. Leave the rest for the old man. Let me finish chewing that up. Whoever's responsible for making that kind of stuff. Literally, it's an M&M brownie. And that's why I always question it and want to do a spotlight, because you read something and you question it. It's like, well, how the hell is an M&M going to taste like a brownie? Well, you know what? It did. And there you go. So go out, get your M&M fudge brownie. That's your spotlight for the week. And we're going to leave you with a random fact to wrap up the show. I do want to thank everybody for tuning in to another episode of Mike on the Mic. This is episode 9. Might be off next week. Got a bachelor party to do. But we will see you around the corner for episode number 10. So here's your random fact. The first college football game was played on November 6th, 1869, between Rutgers and Princeton. Rutgers won. So November 6th, 1869 was your first college football game ever. Want to thank you again for tuning in. Mike on the Mic, Twist Sports Talk, RTF Sports Network.